You should be seeing a message from February 13th that says, in response to me asking, did you record anything? Sorry, no, it's been raining cats and dogs recently. That was February 13th. This is March 14th. It has been over a month since I heard from this person. And you should also now see a message from December where this person admits to having a bad memory and where I ask Alzheimer's, because for the remainder of this, I'm going to refer to this person as Alzheimer's girl. So Alzheimer's girl was asked back in December if she could record some stuff, and she said she could the following week. And I believed her because I had no reason not to. So imagine my surprise when that week goes by and I don't get anything else. You know, I kind of inquire what the hell happened. And her response is to say that she's trying to get some new headset or some new crap to record stuff with, you know, all the little things people say to make someone feel better about their role in the project. And, you know, I give the benefit of the doubt. So all of January goes by, nothing recorded. The next message I want to show you is from a couple of days before the first one you saw, where you see me ask, are you going to record a bunch of them at once or what? And she says, maybe, depends on my mood, honestly. And how, you know, after doing some ensemble trash, she doesn't feel like doing much. And as I'm reading this message, again, the context is you have a person who has not recorded anything for months and knows their stuff is late, telling you that they're not going to be in the mood to record that stuff. It took everything I had to hold back and say, from saying rather, to hell with your mood. You know, you owe me this stuff. You know you do. And you know, you expect me to care about your mood. See, one of the defining characteristics I have when it comes to dealing with VAs is sympathy. This is why a lot of times when they request, you know, an extension on how long it takes for them to record something, I usually grant it because I understand that people have all kind of different circumstances. You know, that's something I'm very aware of. I know that people live different kind of ways, and that causes us to not be able to do things when we would like or when we're asked to do them. But I think in the case of this person, along with some other ones, they take that particular trait of mine and use it to their advantage, which when I say that, I don't mean to suggest that it's wrong to ask someone for an extension. But the thing that has to come from an extension is actually doing the damn thing the person wants you to do. And when you have an individual who between early December, as you saw in that first message, which has the dates on it, to March, to mid-March now, was given the opportunity to record what totaled to be 6 lines. Those were things I needed in the immediate, and they just will not do them. They refuse to do them. They decline to do them. You know, they just are putting this thing off like you're trying to take them to get their teeth pulled from the dentist. This is where the empathy starts to crack, the sympathy starts to disappear, and my disdain begins to surface. Because this is a scenario where I cannot look at my role in it and say, I did something wrong. Now, for more context, there was a voice actor I had asked for. This person, this is maybe, I think, August or September. But I had asked them to do one line, because they recorded this whole thing except for one line. And sometimes people make the mistake of not recording the entire thing. And it happens. And this is what happened with this one that I started this off by talking about, Alzheimer's Girl. So I asked them if they can record this for me. Or rather, I say I need this line because, it was part of the script. And their response is to say, that's not happening anytime soon. And I'm sitting here looking at my screen in almost disbelief, because if I come up to you and I say, record this whole script, and let's say just someone says, I can't do that soon or right now, or okay, fine, whatever. It's a script. I get where it would take, some time to do that. But if it's one line, 5-word line, maybe a week, maybe a couple of days, not anytime soon is the response I got. So I was kind of upset by this. We get into this it's not really an argument. It's kind of like, basically I push back on that comment. I say, this is, why did you write this? I'm trying to do a lot of stuff, whatever. And their response is to kind of like double down and assert that I am going to drive all these people away by being so demanding. And, I'm being told this as a person that gives people months to record stuff. And this is why I say I live in the Twilight Zone, because someone is going to see this first interaction with Alzheimer's Girl, right? That I started this video off with, where this person was given 3 months to record something, chose not to. Well, first, for the first 2 months, chose to not record anything, but continuing to say that they would. And then for the entirety of the third month, chose to not write anything back, like just to not communicate at all. But someone's going to take this story and twist it and make it seem as if, oh, he was so demanding on this person and he was so unfair. And that's complete BS. We gave them, this individual, every opportunity to record this stuff. But this is part of a pattern with VAs, because I actually discovered, see, someone will say, why assume so negative of the intent of these people? They sign up for your stuff. You should have some good view of them. Because for as long as I've been involved with voice actors, and again, there are some, I can, count a handful that aren't like this. The majority of the ones I work with aren't like this. I discovered very early on, and I have to give this person credit for telling me this, that one of the schemes that voice actors have, especially when they're online, is that they want a big portfolio, of just a bunch of credits. So they jump on projects and basically they're on there for maybe one part of it or 2 parts of it. Basically, they're not really interested in actually being involved with the project itself, but they want to add it to their collection of, references and cue points. So it's basically like the reason I call it a scam is because when someone gets on this, I assume they at least want to stay on it for a while, or possibly until it ends. And instead, you have these people who, they have the reverse intent. They want to be on it for a little bit so they can stick it on their resume and then vanish and then screw you over and have you have to go dig and look for another person to replace them. And we're going to get into, in the frequently asked questions section of this video, why that's such a big dilemma, getting another person to replace these people. You wouldn't believe how rare voice scamming is now. But you get the point that it's apparent that these people do sign up, because I've from what I've seen, just in my experience, when people are not trying to be professional VAs or don't have a goal of becoming one, they tend to be a lot more reliable, because they actually believe in the story or the tale for its own sake. But when they want to prop themselves up, because I didn't believe this at first. That's really stupid. Why would people sign up for stuff they're not going to do the entire thing of? But then I had it keep happening over and over. I had one voice actor, for example. I had them for maybe, I think 6 or 7 episodes of my show. and they've claimed that their mic wasn't working. I said, okay, when this person's mic works, they'll come back to this. Their mic apparently started working again maybe a month later. So it didn't take long, right? But I went on their page one day and I was like, you never got back to me. I wanted to keep you. Why did you, why didn't you notify me that your mic was working? And they claimed, oh yeah, I'm interested in coming back. Yeah, sure. And I was like, well, I have someone else to play that role now, but I've got another, because with voice acting, with this, just these people come in and out the door over and over again. So I said, I have another person to play this role, but I would like for you to do this other one, because it would be of great help to me and for the project if someone who I at that point can still consider reliable to, actually have an interest in the story, or, just in trying to further this, if they could take over this other thing. And they flat out denied. They're like, no, I will not do this. And I thought that was weird because I had had a seemingly positive interaction with them, but that's the scam that they play. That, once they get their name on, are able to put your project down on their list of credits, they tell you to go take a hike. And that's exactly what this person apparently is doing. And just for more context, the reason not saying anything is such a big deal for me is because in the past, I have had voice actors who are so cowardly, such words that start with P's and end with ussy, that they will, instead of simply saying, hey, I just don't want to do this anymore, I appreciate work and whatever, just some form of notification, they will stop responding to your emails, inquiries, whatever, and just hope that eventually you get the picture that they just don't want to do this anymore. Very, very early into the project, the first year I was doing, the inaugural year of this, I had a voice actor who did a couple of scripts, really liked their voice, all the positive stuff you could say about the performance itself. And they were on Twitter, saying, oh, I voice act, and if you need me to voice act for anything, woohoo. And at first, when I was trying to get them to record a third one, right, another one, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get to it, next week, or, the same little thing of them putting out some period of time in which they intend to do this. And then after a while, they stop responding, and you say, what the hell is going on here? And that's when you realize, or when I realized, it was all an act, that they didn't intend on recording anything. They're purposely ignoring your inquiries, and they just want you to get someone else without saying that they're not interested in doing this anymore, because they're cowardly. They can't do something as simple as saying, I'm just not interested. But, I'm explaining this or mentioning this because this is the genesis of where that position of mine comes into, that when these people don't respond for weeks or a month, that's when you can reasonably infer there's a good chance they're playing that same stupid game of, let me wait out this person who's trying to get me to keep recording stuff. And all they had to do was just say they didn't want to do it. I'm not what's a good word for it? Intangible. I can't stretch through the screen and choke them if they don't want to do this anymore. But that's what makes it, like, when I call this a voice acting illness, it's because of behaviors like that. Because I could never see myself being so afraid of someone I've never met before as to refuse to directly tell them I'm not interested in doing their thing after I've signed up for it, or continuing to do it. So when I see people doing this stuff, it strikes me as just very odd, like behavior that I can't comprehend, I can't empathize with, because I would never do it. I just don't see what good comes out of it. So Alzheimer's Girl is part of a trio, the unholy trinity of voice actors, and we're going to actually discuss each one of them. And one of them is not as bad as the other two. I have to give her credit for that. So I have this a chart. I don't actually like possess a chart, but it's a pattern of behavior I notice from these people where when they first get onto a project, they have what I call the honeymoon period, where they record a bunch of stuff before you need it. They appear to be very, very reliable, right? And then once they get this feeling or position that you're not going to fire them, you're never going to get rid of them, they become complacent. They start to record a lot less often. This is why for the first year of Alzheimer's Girl, she was recording stuff left and right. And then for the second year, you know, like last year, 31 came out in March. That's because I had to wait 3 months for her to record anything. It was the same thing with 33. It was the same thing with, you know, like every other one of these pretty much. And that's why a big part of me just wants to get rid of this person, because I'm going to keep having this issue of having to wait 2 or 3 months for them to record one script, when you have people who can record much more content in that same period of time. So with the second member of the Unholy Trinity, they became involved a couple of months after Alzheimer's Girl did. And they did the same thing. They, you know, sign up, record a bunch of stuff. It's so wonderful. Their voice is so terrific. All the little butt kissing stuff you could say about the person. And then they slow down very, very considerably to where they actually have the longest record, probably out of anybody, for not recording stuff, which was 6 months. They just didn't record any new scripts or any scripts, despite having them. And I thought this was really weird, but I chalked it up to maybe they forgot. Because again, I don't know how to deal with these people when I immediately meet them. It's after some continuous period where you get a feel for their ideas of how this should be conducted. So I send them distinctively 2 scripts in March of last year. And between March to early June, they sit on them. They do not record them. If you inquire about it, they won't answer directly when they plan on recording it. And they don't actually record it until I finish the 2 that are before those scripts. And I say, hey, look, I can't progress unless you record this stuff. And that's when they finally do it. When that happened, my idea of what they were trying to do is put stuff off until the last minute. But I thought, even in being as ridiculous as that is, right, I could still get them to maybe, what's a good term of saying it? I could manipulate the circumstances to where that behavioral pattern of theirs would not stop progression of this. So with the manipulation I refer to, it's that you have 2 other voice actors who both have shown, so Alzheimer's Girl and this third person I'm gonna get to, that they can record more often than the second one, the one that, you know, took between March and June to record anything. And I figured, if this can go the way I want it to, you can have them record the stuff, you know, every couple of weeks, whatever. And let's say they're just slightly ahead of the second person. With the second person, I can say, hey, you know, you are the anchor. You are the reason that this is taking longer to come out. Basically, what I'm saying is, if I have all the other pieces, you know, every couple of weeks, these people record stuff in this hypothetical situation that never came about, then it would be a lot easier to deal with the second person, because they're able to coast off of the fact that their contemporaries or the other people that are on this, usually there's one other person among them who, whether it's Alzheimer's Girl or the third person of the Unholy Trinity, that basically plays the role of being the sole person who just won't record something for a particular installment, and, you know, like the one holdout, basically. So if they're always the holdout because everyone else is ahead of them, the second person, it's a lot easier to say to them and, you know, pressure them into recording stuff more often. But again, I couldn't do that because Alzheimer's Girl took 3 months of my time to just not record anything and not respond after a while. Now, the third member of the Unholy Trinity has been with me for the longest, and this is the one I have the most, I guess for lack of a better term, affinity for, because the thing about them is they do respond if you try to communicate with them. And that's something I would have said about the second one as well up until August when I sent them, no, not August, excuse me, September, when I sent them 2 more scripts after I finished 35 and 36. They didn't say a word other than like, I said, do this at your earliest convenience. They said, oh, okay, well, all right, thanks, without specifying when they would record anything. And then I didn't get it until November when I just kept saying hello, hello. So prior to that specific encounter with them, the second person would have fallen under the same communication quality standard as the third person. But because they did that, you know, they're even further at the bottom. But the third person always communicates. They're only really getting on my nerves because I sent them the majority of the scripts, I think 6 or 7 months ago, really, you know, I'd say the latest period could have been, because it was before the site, I know before December. So they've had the majority of the stuff for at least 4 months now and have basically just sat on it as well. And the only reason I haven't really been upset by this is because I don't need them to record that stuff right now, in the sense that I'm not at the parts that, you know, they haven't recorded yet. But I guarantee you, in a month or two, let's say if I were to finish 37 and 38, they would probably get annoyed that I'm asking them over and over, can you record these next 2 ones? Because this is what I said about how people don't have foresight, because if they had progressively every couple of weeks been recording the stuff between at least November to now, they wouldn't have that problem. They would always be ahead of me. And that's a key point of what I'm saying. I have at least 5 people who are working on this who are all ahead of me, all ahead of whatever current one is out. They're all ahead of that. So when I see that the majority of people who get on this are able to be ahead of the part that I'm at, I don't buy this idea that there's, you know, I have some incessant refusal to give people time to record stuff. And I also don't subscribe to the notion that really any of this is my fault. I mean, if I were to apologize for anything, it would be having the empathy that allowed these people to get away with not recording stuff for months. I'd be very apologetic about that, because I said before that when you're aware of your own mortality and you know that you don't have some, you know, countless amount of days to do something, it pushes you to not rush it, but to always try to do a piece of it. Like right now, I've got pieces of I've got the majority of 45 done, of 44. You know, I've really extended myself to later parts of the project, because if I don't get to those parts now, I might never get to them, based off of, you know, if I just keep waiting for these people to record stuff. And they're going to be this unholy trinity. They're going to be the reason for why season 3 ends up taking 3 years or longer, because you've got a lot of people on this who recorded stuff in a short amount of time, and I have to basically not be allowed to use their material because a smaller segment is just holding out and taking forever to do really minimal stuff. That Alzheimer's Girl could come back today with the 6 lines that I wanted over those 3 months, and it still wouldn't be enough for me to want to retain her, because I don't think someone should take 3 months to record such a small, minute, minuscule amount of material. So one of the questions people like to pose is that, you know, why don't you hire another voice actor? You know, they seem to conflate voice acting with, like, you know, your dog runs away, you pick up another one at the pound. The website I met the majority of these voice actors at, I have a real disdain for, because last year I tried to do a spinoff, another project. And what I discovered was that my view that there was always going to be some voice actor who was just like waiting around the corner, ready to get involved with whatever I was trying to make, really dissipated, because I would post the call, you know, like the thing saying, hey, I want somebody to do this. I would give a description, tell them if you need time to do stuff, I'm willing to do that as well. And I just couldn't get anyone to audition. I was just sitting here scratching. I was like, how the hell on a site with over 2,000 voice actors are none of them willing to do my thing? I mean, it's like going to a burger restaurant and they say they're out of burgers. It was like I was at the supposed epicenter for where these people like to congregate at. So I take the advice of someone who posts on my stuff and says you should go inbox them, which I really didn't want to do, because I learned very quickly that if people are interested in something, they come to it. They don't want to have it come to them. And I message over at least 24 voice actors. One of them says yes, and we'll get into that one later, and why that one is another reason for why I hate just this profession and the people that do it so much. But the overarching theme of these interactions, because I explained before that I have a lot more respect and tolerance for people who very quickly know they don't want to do something. So let's say I go into somebody's inbox, I say, hey, can you record this? They say no. Okay, fine, that's whatever. But in one particularly ridiculous instance, I had a person who for half a week sat on their computer asking me just every single question under the sun about the project. What does it look like? Where's it going to be released? Done this before, all this stuff. And I answer it because I'm under the impression that as long as the end goal of getting this person to record this stuff is met, I don't really care what else I have to do. Just for them to say they're not interested, and they're so cognizant of their own stupidity that they admit that they wasted my time asking all those dumb questions. But this is why I said that when you are the director of something, the person who writes the scripts, the person who does things outside of the vocal work, you have these interactions that you're expected to not take to heart, not get upset with. And it's just, it's become such an aggravation on my part to both work with some of these people and expect any better of the potential replacements on their part. But yes, that is the reason why I don't want to replace anyone, because from my experience, it's been very difficult to do so. Now, I did a stream back in December it was like voice actor loses brain or whatever, but it was basically a person who over the summer I had met that expressed interest after I came up to them on this same site in voice actor for me. They recorded a couple of scripts, and I was on cloud and I said, thank you, finally, at last. And this person empathized with how difficult it was to get people to stay on projects. And, you know, just by all accounts, we had a cordial, friendly, good rapport that I can actually, if I show you the final message they sent me, they put one of those emojis that's supposed to denote liking what you wrote or whatever. And, you know, I had nothing bad to say about them for between the last time we interacted, which was July. Nothing negative whatsoever. So in December, I noticed, hey, they unfriended me on Discord. I don't know what happened, because I haven't spoken to them in months. And I sent them a message. I say, hey, you know, on the site we met, what happened? Did I do something? And they don't respond. And then they block me on Discord. And I'm like, you know, I really hate these pricks. Like, what is so crazy about you that you sat at your house or whatever the hell and just decided, I now am against working with this person? And just a couple of months ago, I was talking about how much I understood what they were going through. And that's why I said that like, something is wrong with these people. But that's another thing, you know, just the flakiness and the whole, like, you know, I can't look at my interaction with that particular person and see where I did anything wrong either, because by all accounts, they just woke up one day and said, screw you, or screw me rather. What's another one that people ask? Another thing that people ask is, why don't you pay the VAs? Well, one of the reasons people have urged me to do that is because they have this idea in their head that if I pay them, they'll want to record stuff faster, and they don't want to have to wait so long to get lines, all that, right? I'm just gonna tell you like it is. If I were to pay one of these people and it took them 2 months or anything that was close to a month to record, 8, 9, 10 scripts, I'd be very pissed off. But more importantly, let's pretend that I get some voice actor who I decide to just start paying, right? And again, we're on this notion that paying them is going to ultimately be the solution to everything. You just give someone some money and, oh yes, they're going to now record everything and we're all going to live on cloud nine forever. You still have to factor in the other ones who take a month or two to record stuff. What I'm saying is, even if I unless that person does 2-3 roles, there's still a really good chance I could have another voice actor take a longer period of time to record something and get the same result of having to wait large periods before I can actually put one of these out. So that idea sounds nice on paper, but when you compound that with possibly getting scammed, it doesn't work. But yeah, in conclusion, I don't hate voice actors. I have, as I mentioned before, 5 of them who I really like, who I think are serious about what I'm trying to do, who I don't have to wait every single month in constant fear of if they're going to quit or not do their thing this week or whatever the hell. But when those same people are contemporaries with a group of individuals that at best exploit for genuine reasons your empathy so that they can just go continuous periods without recording anything, and then also don't write anything, and at worst are just these dead weights who don't want to record anything and kind of just take up space, and you can't replace them, or you fear if you try to it won't work, as has been the case before. Because I tried to get rid of Alzheimer's Girl one time in the past because of how ridiculous she was with recording stuff. And I'm so sick and tired of, I don't know what the hell else someone would want. You've got a director, referring to myself, the man on the screen, who will give people months to record stuff, will allow them to extend that period, and they still don't want to do anything. And then if he tries to go on the same website he met these clowns on, he gets the same thing from these people. And someone might say to themselves, oh, if you find someone else, this will all be solved. You got to remember, all of them start off the same good way with the honeymoon period. They record a bunch of stuff. It looks like, you met someone who's actually serious about this thing. And then they just start slogging around, just month after month. You just sit there getting more and more excuses. Oh, I have a bad memory. It's like you're not even, the way she was talking about herself, you would think she was 90. I even made a joke about her being elderly, and that was based off of her talking about how horrible her memory was. You remember to do all this other crap, but if someone wants you to record something, and then again, it's not even just that they don't record anything. It's the fact that communication is so scarce. You would think you need a master's degree to write someone an email detailing when you could record your lines from the way these people act. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. And the fact that those two things work in tandem together to basically leave me completely in the dark about what this person's intentions are, because, as I said before, if I didn't have the experience of knowing that these people like to quit projects without formally notifying you, I wouldn't assume so badly of their intent. But because I know that, and I see the early warning sign of, hey, you're not recording anything, it's not hard to come to that conclusion. I feel betrayed. I feel that, I give these people a lot of time to do stuff. I try to acquiesce to their petulance, and you get BS. But that's why I said that it's the voice acting illness, because there's something wrong with someone if they sign up for things that they don't intend on actually doing.